Welcome back to another coding tutorial by Voice First Tech. Today we're going to talk about unit testing for voice apps on both Amazon Alexa and on Google Home. Testing voice apps has proven to be very difficult. On Alexa and on Google, you currently have to either physically speak and try to recreate every single interaction, or you can go into their text-based testing framework, which is really taking JSON packets and physically clicking and sending those off, but the unit tests are not automated. You have to fire them off one at a time, and it's not very reproducible. Luckily, Jovo has a framework for building out unit tests that can run entire conversations or just single intents to make testing your voice apps much easier. So we're going to dive right in and add unit testing to an existing voice app that I already have that runs on both Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. From one of our previous videos, I built an app for my business where you can ask for the mission of the company, you can get the business card, and you can also learn more and get a quote. So we're going to create some unit tests that are going to test the business card, that are going to test the mission and the other functionings of the app. That way, as the app scales, we can be confident that the base core features are already working, and then we can scale the tests with them to make sure that our app always performs as expected. To get started, we've got a couple dependencies, so we'll go ahead and install Chai and Mocha. Alright, I'm installing Mocha, and now I am updating Chai. So now I'll open up my text editor, which is Atom for me personally. I'm now going to create a new folder within the project called test, and inside of that I'm going to make a new file called single test.js. The first thing we want to add in the single test file is our require. We need to require Chai. Next, we want to create a platform builder and get send, which is how we're actually going to be sending requests to our webhook service. Next, we will create our first test. So this for statement is going to iterate through all of our conversations, and we're going to get the platform builder of RB for both Alexa skills and for the version 2 of Dialogflow Google Actions. Next, we're going to add a test. We'll add the demo test that they have on the Jovo website, which is a describe, the name of the test group, and then it should, so whatever we expect that test to be proving. We'll need to fill in the intent and then expect our matched response to be either a tell or an ask, and what response we expect from either Google or Alexa. In my app, I have a welcome state, I've got a business card intent, I've got a quote intent, a learn more intent, and then an unhandled, which we're really, I guess we could still test that, but so we're going to first test my welcome intent. So I've gone through and I've labeled this test group as welcome tests. And my first test inside of here should welcome the user. Now we want to go into our package.json and add a little script. As you can see, we currently have test taking echo error no test specified. Well, we do now, so we can go ahead and paste in that script. Instead, now when we run npm test, we're going to get mocha test recursive. So now we've got our first test case ready to test. We have a for loop, let the response builder of get platform request builder for Alexa skills and Google Action Dialogflow version 2. We're going to describe the welcome test group. It welcomes users, and then it sends an intent of welcome intent to the state welcome state. We then take the response and we get a matched response. We say response is an ask, and it's asking this exact text. If you have break times included, you can include them like this. I found this break time right here. You can physically copy this text, and then that is what you should expect, not up here. So this was a mistake I was making earlier. If you copy this text with parentheses for the break, it's going to fail your test case. But if you copy this, everything inside of your speak, that is going to run just fine. So you can test your breaks that way. And then we can continue to read, and we see that we have our initial value as well as our reprompt value right there. Then we expect that matched response equals true, because we already in here compare it to the response that we receive. Let's go ahead and run this. So on my first terminal, I'm going to run Jovo, and then on my other terminal, I'm going to run npm test. But first, I want to copy this link, and I want to go into my Jovo debugger and paste it there. I already have it open, but just to show everybody the process. So now that we have it running, let's run npm test, and we can see that both of our test cases pass. And also we can see in here that it ran the test twice. So we were able to actually see what the responses were and debug them if something goes wrong, which is what I had to do because in the video, the first time is not exactly what was supposed to happen, so I went and debugged behind the scenes. We'll expand this out a little bit to include a send of the launch request and to have the conversations go a little bit deeper. First thing I'll do is I'll add in the intent that I want to add, which is going to be a test of the launch. Once we launch, I want to reply with the welcome intent in the welcome state to see what happens. So after our launch request, we're going to run what we just did. Because our launch is the same as our welcome intent, we should just be able to copy and paste. And now that we've copied and pasted, we do want to send again. So we're going to go ahead and paste our return in there, and then this and then should trigger immediately afterwards. So it follows like a conversation. We've got an initial send, and then we want to check that response, and then we want to send again, and then we want to get the response, and then the conversation ends. Let's run them again. So now we have the webhook running, and we'll run the tests, and we can see that everything passed. So now we've got a little bit more conversation into there, and now we can continue to test out everything else. This is our test group for welcoming users, but let's create another test group for testing our business card. So I'll go ahead and copy this entire describe to make a new set of tests. We will copy those, and then we'll paste it there, and we will make this, instead of welcome test group, we'll make this business card test group. I'll update the intent we want to test the business card intent, and then I will remove the set state. I'm going to update the expected response and the expected reprompt with what we actually are going to expect, and I'm using variables now just to kind of reduce this running off the screen of our text. Now that I've got this test case written out, let's see if it works. First we'll run the app. Now that it's running, let's run the tests, and we can see that everything passed. Let's start with a fresh slate so that you can see what really happens when we run npm test. So we'll run test, and then we'll come back over here to see the first suite of tests that runs are the welcome intent. So we'll talk to my test app, and then we will ask for the welcome intent, and then we'll get that, and then we'll run it again, and that'll finish. Next we'll do the launch, and then we will get that. This is on Alexa's side, and then for Alexa we go to the welcome intent, so we do get the welcome intent. Second, we will go to launch, and then we'll ask for the business card, and we will get the business card. And finally, let's add one more test suite to get our mission statement, because down here we also have a learn more, which is kind of like our mission statement. To do that, we'll do the same process we did before. We'll copy this whole describe block, which describes test groups, and we'll name this one, instead of business card, we'll describe it as mission, or learn more test group. So now I've updated this by renaming the test group. I've updated our comments, and it tells customers about our business. Inside of our match response, this entire block stays the same because this is our launch request. It's the response to that. The difference is down here in our send, we're going to send a learn more intent. Then in the response, I updated the expected response with what we expect there, as well as the expected reprompt. We should now be good to run these tests again. Going back over here, let's run the Jovo endpoint, and then we'll test again. And we'll see that everything passes, all 6 of them. Our welcome test group, our business card test group, learn more, welcome, so then those run twice. That's pretty awesome. We've got tests that are very scalable, because once you have one, you can kind of copy that to duplicate and make multiple different test groups. If you've got any questions about unit testing, I'm more than happy to answer. I'll also have the link for Jovo's Slack channel in the description, so that way you can join and ask your questions to the Jovo community as well. Jovo is an awesome framework, and I encourage everybody to try it when you're building voice apps. Whether you're building just for Alexa, just for Google, or you want to build a voice app on both, go with Jovo.